when I worked in produce, I basically filleted my finger open doing like prepping corn. I needed like 10 stitches for that. I was actually told that like slightly deeper, I would have lost the use of my index finger, which would have been very unfortunate.
A lot of nerves in there.
That's karma for you making me get stitches.
My bad. Are you happy now, man? I said my bad. Ferg would be more upset if I made him eat corn than by.
I love corn.
Yeah. Do you eat it the long way like Goldberg?
Welcome back, everyone, to S1E1, a show where each week we pick a different sitcom, watch just the first televised episode, and forgetting anything we might know about the future run of that show, rate it and decide if it's a show we want to greenlight or cancel. This week we're going to be talking about Mom. Mom went 170 episodes over 8 seasons on CBS. Today we're talking about episode 1, which was called Pilot, originally airing September 23rd, 2013. To get things started, I'm Jay Gags. With me as always, the boys, most of the boys, Gordo, Ferg, and Joe. What's going on, guys?
Hey,
welcome back, Joe.
I'm back from my paternity leave.
That's my semen at work. Come on, Joe.
I mean, that's in the list, but I was just going to be nice because Jay was giving me a moment and just say, like, the correct answer is ass or whatever. I was just going to, like, go through and talk.
Yeah, well, I guess for people listening, I mean, Joe, you did inform everybody that, you were on paternity leave, and, we've said it in real life, but I guess for the sake of audio purposes, congratulations on your child.
Thank you very much.
But we did record out of order, so if you guys listen week to week, Bob Hart Abishola was our anniversary, so we knew Joe was going to be gone, so we recorded that one way in advance to make sure that he was around for our anniversary episode, and then did join us for our live show that was, almost a month ago from when this episode releases now. We've been with Joe sparingly, if you follow along, but this is the first time you've recorded an actual episode with us in over 2 months, almost 2.5 months.
It was pretty crazy, yeah. And I'm glad we recorded that one early as well, because things took a turn like they tend to do, and the baby came early, much like I did, to make the baby, and we recorded that one like just in the nick of time before I was out of commission.
Yeah, and I don't want to be off topic too long, but I do want to say I did predict the day of the birth, and I was supposed to get middle name naming rights. I could have sworn that was written down on the board, but we seem to renege that.
You got your Starbucks gift card. If you'd like, every time you order a coffee there, you can give them that name for you, and they can call it out for you. You can have best of both worlds.
Coffee for Andy Melanakis.
I mean, if you could do it hyphenated, right?
This, we're doing Mom. This is released the week of Mother's Day. That is obviously not a coincidence. We wanted to do this as a special Mother's Day episode. Seemed to make sense to fit this one in here. As far as the show Mom goes, I had seen like bits of it on at times, but I've never like really sat and watched it. What about you guys?
I have never even heard of it. Shocker. I've never heard of it, so I have never seen it.
I knew Anna Faris was in it, and I thought it was one of those TV Land originals, so I just kind of wrote it off where I was like, those shows are so bad, even though I like Anna Faris. And then I found out that I was completely wrong about that.
So this is weird, but I've seen this particular pilot like 5 times. And I wish I could tell you why, but I don't know. Anytime I turn this show on TV, this episode is on. And I know it's the first one because I looked it up. And then like it came on after another show. And then it was this episode again. I'm just like, God damn it. So I could have not watched, but don't worry, I did refresh.
I will say the pilot and some of the earlier episodes, too, very much reminded me of the pilot and early episodes of Reba.
This is a name that we bring up because this is another Chuck Lorre show, and I think this is one of those guys that we sing his praises every time we do a show that he's involved in.
We've seen him a lot.
And I mean, just to kind of go over a few, like, shows he's created, we've talked about this in the past. Recently, we did Bob Hart Abishola. He was involved in Mike and Molly. He wasn't the creator of that show, but he was like a writer for it. Created Big Bang Theory, created 2.5 Men, Grace Under Fire, like a bunch of shows.
Grace Under Fire with the superior Dave Thomas.
But right around the Toxic Crusaders, we were actually just talking about the Toxic Avenger off air before we started up. But yeah, he's kind of legendary in the sitcom world now, and you can see his fingerprints all over the show, whether it be casting and some other stuff going on. So it was, I guess now the more and more stuff that we cover and you kind of start seeing all these things, it makes sense.
The other creator of this too, Eddie Gordetsky, he did a bunch of stuff, including like SCTV. He wrote for Batman the Animated Series. Like he's got a very interesting resume as well.
Well, he could have made this show good.
I like this show. So fun.
I was going to say, yeah, we always said we'll get into it.
We'll get into it, but
and we also have said like, we are far beyond the point where we kind of hide how we feel about things. We're very open these days, but no, I thought this show was fine for what it was. I mean, like we're going to obviously get pretty deep into it, but
did you guys get Mike and Molly flashbacks when she was in AA?
I was going to bring that up when we got to it, but yeah, it's very similar. I was actually like, it almost mirrored that episode in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody in that crew must be in recovery, right? To go back to that well enough. And spoiler alert, if you watch the show past the pilot of this, they're at an AA meeting like every episode. So it's like a big central part of the show.
Yeah.
Oh, fun for a sitcom.
Well, I think there's...
You make it fun.
Yeah, there's ways to do it. And yeah.
That's how they involve one of my favorite characters, which is Jamie Presley's character. She's one of the AA people.
Oh, yeah, we don't see her in this episode, but is she like a big part of the show moving after that?
She's in like most of the episodes, just like one of the bitchy friend who's not really a friend. Which she always plays.
So the show 7.4 on IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, had an audience score overall for the series at an 83, and then didn't have like an official like score. So I looked at season one, critics 71%, and then fans 81% for Mom season 1. So pretty liked. And then again, it's just, I don't know if it's because we don't watch TV like in the conventional sense that we used to, and like for this show to have an 8-season 170 episode run, I was just kind of like, what, really? Like I didn't know it was that big of a show.
That surprised me as well. And I know we're not supposed to keep watching shows, but I like kept watching this one yesterday and then a little bit today, and it's one of those things you're like, you just can't do it this way anymore. Like nobody could pull off that many episodes of a show anymore. Everyone's way too distracted. It was 2013. Like, was this like a weird, like, not everyone was always on their phones yet, sort of,
And this is another one where just my personal preference, but this is that classic 3-camera shoot type of sitcom. And not that, like, listen, I've said it a million times, The Office is one of my all-time favorite shows. But that being the outlier, I really like a classic sitcom-y feel show. There's something about it that feels more familiar to me and like gives me that more like nostalgic feel of watching television than when I watch a lot of these newer style single camera comedy shows.
I just like when the single camera has a reason. Like The Office at the very beginning, or like, we are filming a documentary, and you're like, perfect. Now you have testimonials, you have this. We've talked about this on the show before. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But like to just be like, oh, people are breaking the wall and talking to us, and we don't know what's going on here. Even Modern Family, we talked about, like, I love that show, but why? Why is it shot that way?
When it doesn't work? When they combine the two, like an Extended Family.
Yeah, you didn't do the Extended Family, but you did watch it. So
I watched it. Yeah, it was not good.
Yeah, to stay on topic with this show, I guess we might as well just jump right into it. The show starts, and we're inside of like this nice fine dining style restaurant, and we see Christy, who's our main character, played by Anna Faris, and she's like waiting on a couple, and she's basically hysterically crying as she's explaining this bottle of wine to them that she's presenting. We don't know like why she's upset. We just know that she's in hysterics. I actually, as the scene like unfolds, thought something bigger happened for her to be like crying this much in this opening scene.
I couldn't get actually like when they revealed it. I listened probably 3 or 4 different times. I still don't know what happened. Please tell me when we get to it. Yeah.
We'll tell you. It gets resolved. She tells you in the kitchen, but yeah, I feel like this whole scene, I thought this was going to reveal something big, like a big plot point as to like, this is why the show is what it is. But they didn't use this extreme of a situation for something that I thought they would have.
Yeah, I don't like that they just rolled right into she was already crying, because I thought I missed something.
It's a little jarring. I thought I watch this, sometimes we have video versions on our computers we watch of these. I thought there was a cutoff.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
me too.
I closed my file and loaded it on a different file, and it started the same. I go, motherfucker.
You get no context. That's why. And it's just not common to see a character hysterically crying like that. So you're like, wait, hold on. What did I miss here? What's the setup? But you see her kind of rolling from like table to table, and she's dealing with that first couple with the wine, and then she goes over to the other one to see if there's two guys at a table and trying to get them to buy dessert, and she's crying as they're ordering their souffles, and then she's handed a birthday cake to go bring to the third table, and now she's like,
I enjoyed that.
her crying while singing happy birthday was kind of funny.
Yeah, I also like too that the name was Ethel.
Me too. After I Love Lucy.
Yeah, we just did I Love Lucy, or you guys did I Love Lucy.
But I think that was only because like it was like the person who was celebrating the birthday was an older woman, so they were kind of like, what, we need like an old lady name, because that's like of the list of the names that just don't exist anymore.
Yeah, like Gertrude and Mabel.
I was gonna say, and
Martha.
apologies to if there's anyone younger who listens to the show and you have a what would be known as a typically older name, but it does seem like there's
They
a lot
know
of those,
they have an old lady name.
there's names that just seem to be lost in time. Trying to think now, other than that one, it's like Ethel, Gertrude.
Martha.
That's not that crazy.
How many Marthas do you know?
Stop bringing up your dog's name all
It
the
really
time.
was a way for him to somehow pigeonhole that in.
I love my doodle, okay?
Was it Bernadette?
Oh, she's a Bernadoodle.
Ugh.
Now, did your guys have the mind goblins in yours?
What?
Mind goblin these nuts.
Gobbling these nuts.
Oh God. No, I didn't miss any of that. I'm also so glad to peel back a little bit that I don't know what a skibbity toilet is. Whatever the fuck you've been saying in the chat for the past month and a half.
So I want to say this in regards to Gordo's dumb joke he just told. And this is like a theme. Zero context. This is like in Bob Hart Abishola where he's trying to get a D's nuts joke. And there's no setup for it, but he's so eager to say it that he doesn't care if he can figure out a way to naturally make it work in the conversation. He just says it.
And it worked every time.
It works if the goal is to make yourself laugh. Then yes, it works every time.
It makes the audience laugh.
I would like to hear if that's the case or not, because I really don't think so, bud.
Congrats, you tricked Joe, who doesn't go on the internet.
Yeah.
The what?
From her sobbing from table to table, we cut to inside the kitchen and we see the head chef, Rudy, played by French Stewart, which I was like, oh shit, it's French Stewart.
Is that him? Okay.
He is the
Gordo.
star of this.
You love French
I
Stewart.
thought
You didn't know that was
don't
him?
you love French Stewart? You didn't recognize him?
He looked familiar.
Oh.
He's so fucking good in this episode.
He's amazing in this episode.
When watching it, when he popped up, the first thing in my head was, oh, Gordo's going to be so excited that French Stewart's in this
Me
episode.
too.
I loved him, though.
You didn't recognize him. He's in the show with a prominent role.
But also the amount of research and notes and anything you do for this amazes me how little you do.
I edit. I'm back end. You're front end.
So you're back of house? Like
Yes.
Chef Rudy?
I am Chef Rudy. You are Chef Tootie.
All right.
Girls!
So we see French Stewart as Chef Rudy, and he's in the back of this kitchen, and he's kind of playing your typical high-end chef, doing the pulling a little bit from Gordon Ramsay and all those. I thought his character was pretty funny. I think he's a good type of character piece to have alongside of the show.
He's a perfect anchor for this, because you just go to him once or twice an episode, he says something or does something really funny, but he's not overused. I think it's perfect. He must have loved this too, because that's like what, a day of work a week he gets to be on this huge show too. Like, what a win.
But what I like too is he plays this character in a way that's not overly extreme and a caricature of a human being, because a lot of these other newer sitcoms have these characters that it's almost like after that 70s show, every show needed like a Fez, but like it worked there, but not when you're just like forcing these characters into your shows. I always think of, we haven't covered it yet. I'm starting to think it'll be our 4th anniversary show, but in Two Broke Girls,
Over my dead body.
almost every character on that show is like not real. It's basically a cartoon show that like everyone's so fake in it. And, that stuff always kills me in shows. And I think he's a good he's playing kind of an extreme character, but in a toned down enough to work in a sitcom and feel somewhat realistic.
I was gonna say he does feel realistic, very sarcastic, and while being serious and dry. I like it.
And you see
He was my favorite part of this episode. Now I know
Gordon, as somebody
why.
who has worked in kitchens before, have you encountered a lot of Chef Rudy's?
Yes, I was Chef Rudy. Ass.
You were Chef Rudy S?
Yes.
I was like giving you the minute. I was like, I feel like he's got something here. He's gonna try to.
I mean, there's always people who think more of themselves. But
Fuck you, Chef Rudy.
I don't know. I mean, like, I've worked with some hard chefs. Like,
Hey now.
I was like, come on, you can't do that.
Feel that?
Souffle.
Souffle is not the only thing rising.
But in any event, yeah, you see him kind of going around from kind of like chef to chef over there and criticizing everything they're doing. You got the one guy, not too extreme. There was the one guy who's sitting there with his hand on fire with the oven mitt on.
Paul.
I'll take that. That gag wasn't too bad. Sometimes that can be an eye roll type of gag for me, but it wasn't that bad there.
I think because of French Stewart's delivery is why it was so good. Because Paul, your hand's on fire again, and they just walk away. The joke works, and it's like a constant, you know.
It's funny regardless, but was it like he didn't notice because he was so nervous of French Stewart? Sorry, Rudy.
I think that's part of it. Is that they all know he's like watching over them, so he's so fixated on what he's doing that he doesn't have time to like address his hand. And while all that's happening, you have Christy run in to the kitchen area, and you have the guy Gabriel right behind her, who I'm getting the vibe is like the manager of the restaurant, not the owner, but the manager.
Yeah, it looks like he's day-to-day operations.
He's giving her the whole like, hey, listen, like, is something wrong? Like, we're getting a lot of complaints. She's like, really? About what? It's like, well, apparently one of my waitresses is having a nervous breakdown. Is it Jennifer?
that got me.
And Anna Faris also is so funny that she really delivers in this.
She's one of those people who, it's kind of interesting almost, not to go back, but the idea of like her being in like a starring role in like a big sitcom, because like we're more familiar with her from all these big movies over the years. And to see her kind of settle into this role here.
They're going to make her return to movies because she's going to be in the new Scary Movie.
Oh, really?
Role.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's what they'll be bringing back the entire original cast.
Oh,
I don't
cool.
Are the like Waynes involved in it again?
That's the rumor. Nothing's been official, but that's what they said. They said the entire original cast, which
is funny because when you go back and watch the original like Scary Movie and you see her in it, it's almost hard to like, oh, that's the same girl, you know, like
she's got the black hair. It really throws you off.
But she really like blew up like after that movie because you didn't really know who she was when Scary Movie came out.
Yeah, that was like her first big break.
And then she started doing like all these big roles after that and really kind of like came into prominence. I actually thought the House Bunny was really funny.
I've not seen the House Bunny. Is that the Playboy offshoot?
Yeah,
one?
she's like the Playboy model who has to like, she helps a sorority out.
Jason.
That's the thing. It's that gag where every time she meets someone, like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. My name's Anthony. And she goes, Anthony. Every time, like, it cracks me up every time she does it in the movie.
It's one of those movies that no one should like, but everyone likes. It's like, it's really funny.
It's dumb, but funny.
Should I add this one to my list? Should I see the House Bunny in 2024?
Is it like you have to see this movie? No. But is it fun and you'll enjoy it? Yes.
This isn't going to be like a Forgetting Sarah Marshall thing. We're going to be bothered by the fact I haven't seen it.
No.
Like, I'm not like stunned that you haven't seen it, but if you see it, you'll probably like it. As now we see the two of them talking in the kitchen, Rudy walks up and feeds Gabriel something. He's like, oh, what does this taste like to you? He's like, mushrooms. The correct answer is ass. And walks away.
He's right though. Mushrooms taste like ass.
Yeah,
No, they
I
do
knew
not.
it would lead to this conversation. I'm a mushroom fan. I do like mushrooms.
There's not mushroom in my stomach for mushrooms, all right?
When I was growing up, I fucking hated mushrooms.
Me too.
Them. And then all of a sudden one day I was like, you know what? Never mind. Like to the point where I'll get a mushroom pizza. We've talked about pizza so many times.
It's a consistency thing. I know I said that about like most vegetables, but with mushrooms, it's like they're stretchy and I don't.
It's also though like it's a flavor like that carries over. Like if you ever get like, hey, we're gonna get a pizza, we'll split it. I'll get half pepperoni, you'll get half mushrooms. Your pizza will taste like mushrooms. Like mushrooms carry over. It's too strong.
What's funny to me is I remember being a kid when I was very much adamantly against mushrooms, and they were being sold to me like by my mom as like, just try them. They don't taste like anything. I'm like,
Bullshit.
well, if they don't taste like anything, why do I need to eat them? Like,
I got that with tofu once too. Try it, it doesn't taste like anything. And I was like, first, wrong. Second of all, why would that be a selling point?
I am like you, Jay. I also did not like mushrooms growing up. And then as an adult, they are like my favorite vegetable.
Yeah, I really like them now. I really hated them like in most of my teenage years too. It wasn't like it was, like I was an adult by the time I made this transition into liking them. Anyways, this is the part where her sobbing is explained, Gordo. So she's upset because someone said something to her that she found to be insulting.
Yeah,
And-
which was,
you're a good waitress.
okay, I couldn't make out what she said there.
It was very clear and repeated it.
Well, regardless, but so she's so upset that this guy said that she was a good waitress because of the idea that this was not what she wanted in her life. So being a good waitress wasn't like a goal, which sure, I can understand that thought train, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should be in hysterics over the idea of someone still saying that you're doing a good job here.
Also, I'm sure you could be both, right? I'm sure there are people who are good psychiatrists and psychologists who could be very good wait staff as well,
Yeah, the line really should have been like, you were born for this job or something, that makes it sound like this is what she's supposed to do.
A mean customer who was like, you're the worst waitress ever, and that's a shame because that's the only job you'll ever get, right? Like something like actually shatters you down to the core a little bit.
But like, hey, good job. Like, I don't know if it explains her being in hysterics the way she was.
I think that was a culmination of her entire life. Like,
Sure.
everything that we see later. And then it was like, and I'm a waitress.
I like that when she's having this conversation, she goes into that rant where she's like, and now all I'm doing is serving people $60 risotto. And she's like, who are we kidding? It's just a big steaming pile of gooey rice. And the whole kitchen goes silent and just stares at her like that how dare you moment. And I did like because there's like maybe a dozen people in the kitchen in the scene that are all just kind of background people. And like when it all goes silent and they stare at her after the risotto comment, I thought that was great.
Yeah, it was great character work.
They were all worried because the chef would have heard that and he's an asshole.
But she didn't say Rudy's risotto. She was just saying risotto in general.
As a whole. That's why I thought this was more the kitchen going like, what? You don't like risotto? I like risotto. Give me some gooey rice.
Give
Yeah,
me
I like
some
gooey
mushroom
rice.
risotto.
I was going to say, but not with mushrooms.
I like that to cheer her up when she says that like someone said she's a good waitress. He goes, first of all, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, first of all, she lied. He lied.
That is very funny. I also like too though, like where she fucked up, where she's like, I have to have this job because I have kids to feed. And he's like, take a couple of steaks and go home. You take him up on that offer.
Right?
If you were working
Yeah,
and someone
right?
was like, you want to go home early with some steaks? You'd be like, fucking see you later. This day's over.
When Rudy was upset by the risotto comment, she's like, oh, and like, who are you? Like, I saw you at McDonald's the other day going down on a Big Mac. And she like walks out and he's like, first of all, it was a fillet of fish.
I love that that the statement was true though. He was at McDonald's. Just he didn't have a Big Mac.
I will say, we've talked many times, and I don't know if I've brought up this specific fact, but when we talk food, I'm well on record as someone who hates pickles with every fiber of my being. But the one exception is I will eat tartar sauce on a McDonald's fillet of fish. That is my only exception.
I just won't eat a fillet of fish.
I've never had one before. I'm allergic to fish, but when I think of anybody saying fillet of fish, I just think of Gordo in your apartment when you had the mounted Frankie, the singing fish
still have
from
it.
McDonald's.
Give
I
me
still have
that
it.
fillet of fish. Give me that fish.
Which then
Oh.
led me onto eBay being like, how much does one of those Frankie the Fish cost right now in 2024? You can get one for about $25. They say works.
I think they just released it a couple of years ago. Like it's like an anniversary thing. And I think that's where I got the most recent iteration of it. Because it is hanging in my mud hallway, I guess, because we live in an apartment, so we don't have a mud room. But when you first walk in, it's right there. You could press it. Dog doesn't like it, but you could press it.
I mean, most humans don't like it either, but that song is in my head constantly for some reason.
I love it. And they also do a remix.
Oh, good.
Ooh.
You can get like a techno remix of it. Should I take a video of it for you?
If you really want, we could put it in our stories or something later on, but not at the moment. Please don't.
Score runs away to get the fish off the wall.
We get back to the main floor of like the main dining area again, and she goes to wait on another table, and John Cryer is the customer, like out of nowhere, which gets like a big pop from the audience.
At this point, he would have been like, that's when 2.5 Men was huge.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out if he was supposed to be his character from 2.5 Men.
They don't
or if
really
was just
address
a
it,
cameo.
and he's not
Yeah,
with anyone else from the show usually in those cases, they'll do like a little tip of the hat thing.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
that wink, wink, but they didn't really do it there. So I just think it was more the idea that he was there.
Yeah.
I like to think that it was Ducky all grown up.
It's also like, this has to be CBS using him to be like, hey, we need to get some eyes on the show, And we've seen other cases of that where they'll kind of toss, like ABC would do a lot of that too, and shows we've covered where they kind of borrow from their other hit shows to get some eyes on the new ones.
I got a little fooled from this. I thought this was going to be like a recurring gag, like, hey, every time they're at the restaurant, there's somebody of note at a table, because, spoiler alert, in the second episode, there is, but then they never do it again.
Oh.
That person just ends up being a character on the show. So I was like, oh, this is when he pops up, it was Justin Long. When he pops up in the second one, I was like, oh, what a good gag that is. Like, you just have a different person every week, and you can kind of make like a funny gag out of them, but they just don't do it.
Yeah, he has such a quick scene. It's like an insignificant. It was just him ordering and like not much to it, but the reaction he got. This is a live studio audience show, by the way. Yeah, they were super excited when he hit the screen.
Yeah, they go wild for him. But it's like you said though, 2.5 Men was huge at this point.
Yeah, it's a show that we still haven't covered.
I've never seen any of it.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting show to cover.
I like everybody on it. I love John Cryer. I love Charlie Sheen. Before. I love Charlie Sheen in the before days, but I've just never seen any of it.
So we get to the intro. Intro is modern intro, not much to it. 10 seconds long. We kind of get like that pan across and we see photos of her framed of like her past life, basically. Was she a stripper?
She was a stripper.
Yeah, she was a stripper. There's a picture of her crawling in through a doggy door.
Yeah. So we know she had a wild life. Now she's mom. So the last picture you see is her with her 2 kids.
And a mug.
And there's the mug that says mom. And I don't know. It's fine. I don't like the symphony music. I don't think it's really a good tie for the show. And it's all the interstitial music too. And
The fact that it's interstitial bothered me. I'm fine with it for the intro because I like the idea of being like, it's something very classy. And then we're saying that these people aren't classy. Like the juxtaposition works for the intro. I just don't think, like you said, the interstitial, you're just kind of like, I don't want to hear. I also just fucking hate classical music, so I just don't want to hear it that much.
I don't mind it, but I just didn't think this is the right show for it. It's on Frasier. Okay, I get it.
Yeah,
like
Frasier,
here, it's
sure.
like
Is that a CBS thing?
I wouldn't have enough frame of reference to like say like it's been used here and here.
I mean, the most recent CBS show we watched, which also was Chuck Lorre, was Bob Hart's Abishola, and I don't think there's any classical in that, right?
No, I think it was kind of generic-y music too, though. But here, I mean, what the advantage of it is you're not paying for the song, so maybe that was part of it.
Yeah, yeah, that could be true.
That's why they got 8 seasons. They saved money on the theme song.
Well, they're already paying Anna Faris. So,
I was gonna say,
imagine.
maybe Anna Faris came in with a high price tag. We got to chop some of the budget somewhere else. From the intro, we get to the next scene, and you just see her driving home from work, and she's like listening to like one of those kind of book on tape self-help things, and she's kind of like hearing like those words of affirmation and saying them back.
You know who this voice is too, right?
I didn't catch who the voice was.
I knew right away. It's Nick McKay. He's Salem from
Oh,
Sabrina
from Sabrina?
Twitch. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't pick up on that.
Once you know it, if you hear it again, it'll be like, oh, of course, yeah.
So you hear like, I open my heart and allow wonderful things to flow into my life. And she, repeats. And as she's doing that, there's like another one, but right as she's about to repeat, gets to her house and sees like a shirtless dude climbing out of the window of her house and falling into the bushes. So instead of repeating, she's saying like, my daughter's an easy lay and it's not my fault.
We've talked about it on this show before, but I've had to do that before, out the window and run. But luckily, I didn't fall afoul of Anna Faris's car at the moment.
Shirtless?
I had a shirt on, but I also probably had like 9 jingling belts on, so
Yes.
it probably was more of an issue.
I was gonna say, real rookie move too. He should have waited to jump out the window once he heard the door close.
Yeah,
Why jump then?
as we get to meet this character, though, we also aren't given the smartest person in the world, you know?
Did you recognize who he was?
Oh, Mr. Poop? Right away.
Yeah.
Mr. Poop?
Yeah, so he was
He's skipping the toilet?
No, stop it.
No.
He was Meredith's son on The Office, Jakey.
Oh.
Which the last time you see him, too, he's a stripper. So you see
So
him
he's shirtless the last
shirtless
time you
in
see him
that
on The
as
Office
well,
too,
yeah. But we always make the joke when he doesn't get along with Dwight. He's like, you can call me Mr. Shroot. He's like, what's that, Mr. Poop? And for some reason, calling him Mr. Poop is so fucking stupidly funny that it'll always be like a favorite Office moment.
You know what's funny? I don't think I would have recognized him had he not been shirtless in the show.
Because this must be right near, what year did The Office end? Close to this.
This show came out, 2013? So yeah, right there.
And that was fine. That was the last season when
Yeah.
he's the stripper.
I did like the fact that this actor who played Jakey, he was it was him throughout the show. He just grew up. So from
Yeah.
Mr. Poop to the finale, he just got a lot older.
Yeah, it's so good they use the same actor. Because they don't always do that in The Office. We get 2 different Pam moms.
So it's Spencer Daniels is his name.
He's super funny. And also, again, getting Reba vibes, he reminds me of...
Oh, the oldest son, the oldest there. Cheyenne's boyfriend.
Yeah, Cheyenne's boyfriend, who you see his dong a bunch in...
What is it, Jet?
Shameless.
No.
Is anyone else a little stunned that Gordo was able to pull Cheyenne's name
Yeah,
so easy?
yeah, you know what?
Because they're
I
like-
told you I watched that show. I don't think I recorded that show, but I'm a fan of Reba.
It's making me insane because I watched all of Reba and I can't remember the character's name.
So have I. His name was
Jet? Is it Jet?
No.
It
You're
began
close,
with
though.
a J.
All right, guys, I'll do the really tough thing.
Yeah, I'm
and
trying to
just
do it quick here.
Type it in real quick. So, so on Reba, you're talking about
Van. I was way off. That I was close. Oh wait, Jet Van. They're both vehicles.
I'll say they're close.
We watched all of Reba, like we binge watched all of Reba, and the next show we binged was Shameless. So like we went from Van, and then the first episode
Van
of
to
Shameless,
dong.
we're just like, did we just see Van's cock? Like what the hell just happened? It was so jarring.
So when she walks in her house, having just seen this guy sneak out, her daughter Violet walks into the living room but pretends like she was just woken up by the idea of from her mom coming in.
Oh, Violet, you're turning Violet.
Same thing. I thought the same thing. If you name your kid Violet, it has to be like after Violet.
Yeah, that's
Beauregard, right?
that's gonna enter your brain.
Yeah. A bean feast. Oh, one of those.
Just giving her how was work? And she's like, oh, fun. I feel guilty taking the money. And she's asking her what she did tonight. She's like, oh, just, did some homework, watched TV. And she's like, oh, is there a TV on your ceiling? And the audience, it was like, whoa, shit.
Like, oh, she's a no-nonsense mom.
I do just to go, the line's funny, but I think there is something to having the live studio audience versus the candle after, because you get that more authentic reaction other than, the what they want you to hear, which aids to the shows so much.
Especially if they can nail it on the first take and it actually is like a genuine surprise laugh,
So this is where the conversation to me was weird, because this is obviously the moment where she has to parent a little bit. And she goes, hey, sit down, we need to talk. She's like, Violet, I can't tell you to not have sex at your age because I had sex at your age. And I was like, no, sure you can. You can absolutely tell her not to do it. And you can be like, and because of me, all the more so, this is why you shouldn't. Not so much like, hey, I can't stop you because I did it.
I think she's just trying to say, though, that, she doesn't want to be hypocritical about it.
Sure.
I think it's different in this situation, though, because she is born of her having sex at that age.
Which she is quick to tell her, which I did like hey, don't take any offense, but this ruined my life.
Yeah, so that's where I feel like it's okay, right? Where she's like, because of me having sex, I have you. I think it's a little hurtful for sure, but at least that she has a reason. She's not just being like, I can't tell you not to have sex for no reason at all.
But then she follows up with and I can't tell you not to drink and smoke pot because I used to do the same thing. She's like, my senior yearbook quote was, let's drink and smoke pot.
I thought that was funny.
Funny, but you're like, no yearbook was going to let you write that.
You could in the 80s.
No, but she probably wrote it on people's yearbooks.
I am tempted to pull up our yearbook and see if anyone had anything cringy.
I remember one of our friends had concert song lyrics, and that was pretty cringy.
I used some song lyrics.
I did too. I mean, I think that for sure all of ours are going to be a little cringy, so let's look at that up off air, please.
Mine's terrible.
All right, I found I have it bookmarked. Luckily, our yearbook is archived online, so it's very easy to reference. So I have it bookmarked. Berg, you just write about how you want to go to Salem State and become a writer, and you have all these ideas in your head, and you just can't wait to get them all out.
They're still up there.
And you want to stay in touch with all your friends.
Hey, boys! I did one thing.
Creative doing this, right?
Yeah, you're creatively writing, Ferg.
I noted that I wanted to go to film school, which I did not do.
But you were in Ghostbusters, so you get that out for you.
I end it with, there I go, and then it's over, from the Misfits. And Joe, because we have to skip Gordo, because he did not attend our senior year.
No.
But we did get his name on the senior t-shirt.
Did you?
Yeah, we wrote it in. They had a thing where like there was a big 04 and they wanted everyone from the class to come down and write other names in it, and we wrote your name in it. So I don't have my shirt anymore, but if anybody has one, you can find your name on it.
I still have it somewhere. If I can find it, I'll take a picture and I'll put it in our Instagram.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you guys for doing that.
Yeah, we told you 20 years later.
In all fairness, we probably told him then too,
Definitely
and he
told
forgot.
him back then, yeah. Joe noted that Winthrop High is behind him now, and so is this town. He had a blast, but it's time to get out. Joe did immediately leave town.
Correct. And the high school is now knocked down, so I win. And I quoted lyrics as well.
Yeah. And he does reference himself as a teenage kamikaze.
Yeah. So it doesn't age well at 38, does it?
But yeah, not too bad. Nothing too bad.
You missed the part where he says, someday I'm going to get that green belt.
Yeah.
I failed the test, by the way, guys. I didn't get it. Oh, by the way, they opened a new Kung Fu studio is opening in our town. We were just like on a walk the other day, and I was like, what's really fun about this too is it was a 50s themed pizzeria, so it looked like Al's place in
It's Mr. Miyagi in there.
Yeah, it looked like that from Happy Days, but now they're starting to put in all of the Kung Fu stuff, but there's still like a 50s jukebox and like a bunch of other stuff. So it looks amazing. But I was making that joke where I was like, I should go there and just go up to that level belt just to say that I did it. And good exercise.
I mean, you should, Joe.
I need something to focus my energy on.
So Violet's insisting to her mom that she's not having sex. And she's like, don't lie to the woman who washes your sheets. I'm like,
that's a great line.
Wow.
There was that moment where I'm like, ew.
How do you not take a blow dryer or something?
I don't think they were still sopping wet when she washes them. I think it's the stains in the crust.
How do you not wash your own? I don't know.
Because she's a teenager.
Yeah.
Not smart. Not a smart one.
She doesn't want to have this conversation, obviously. So Violet eventually gets she gets mad and storms off. And she's like, okay, good talk. And then Christy heads over to her room where her son's asleep in her bed. And her son wakes up when she walks in, and she picks him up and she's walking him over to his room. And while doing so, they're talking. And the son's like, Violet's boyfriend was over. She's like, I know. They were kissing. She's like, oh, I'm sure they were. And then they took a shower together. She's like, terrific. That was, again, seemed like a lot in a way that seemed almost graphic.
The visual gag of this scene I really like too, where that kid is clearly and Anna Faris is very small, and that kid is way too big to be being carried to bed. So he's like totally on her, arms out and legs out, and she can barely hold him, which I thought was kind of an understated visual gag.
You know, with some of this stuff, and you talk about the dirty sheets and, the showering together and some of the things that get tackled in this episode, I don't want to say it's quite in this wheelhouse. It is a newer sitcom, but it does have more of the old vibes to it. You think of shows like Reba, you think of Grace Under Fire, a little Roseanne, you have that real world type of problems that are injected into these episodes that kind of makes the situations more relatable.
And for sure makes it more, I mean, they're genius shows too, right? Because again, we talked about it with Roseanne, you kind of age with the kids and you understand the kids' plight. And then you're an adult and you watch it and you're like, oh, I totally understand what the parents are going through. I feel like a show like this, especially knowing it went 8 seasons, I'm sure there were some people who watched it as kids and related to the teens or whatever, and then now relate to.
Yeah, because I mean, we'll obviously get into it later, but this show really focuses on kind of balancing the 3 generations, you know, when you're watching it. So there's kind of a little something for everyone there.
I think they do a good job of it too, where you don't feel like you're underserving or overserving anyone.
And then also to go back when she's tucking in her son Roscoe, he's asking like, "Hey, are you going to be at my talent show tomorrow?" And she's like, "Oh, like I have work, like it's like the lunch rush or whatever, because it's at 11 o'clock." And he kind of gives her the, "It's okay, I'm not that good anyways." And like the crowd so upset, like they feel for this kid.
Named Roscoe too. Anybody here ever met a Roscoe in real life?
In real life,
Roscoe
No.
Jenkins.
Yeah, there's Roscoe Jenkins. There's Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, the famous restaurant in California.
No.
She does say she's going to do her best to attend this talent show, so she's going to have to try to make a trade or something. But which is a lot. Like, you know, when you're in this position, she's a single mom and she's like working and trying to get all these bills paid. You see earlier, like when she's sobbing at the restaurant and they're trying to tell her to go home early and she doesn't want to because she needs the money. So like, you know, the idea of like trading a shift, that's a big deal.
The whole thing about her struggling for money, though, it comes up later. The boyfriend's not, that baby daddy's not paying child support and stuff. But that house is huge and nice, so it doesn't look like she's struggling like too bad with that house.
I looked up in California, like what the average salary of a waiter or waitress is, and you know, we don't have to do inflation. I just look up this year. It's about $40,000. So you can do better than that, obviously, if you work in a nicer restaurant like she does. I'm sure her tips are better.
Oh yeah, being like fine dining for sure.
But I mean, to think of $40,000, even if you double it, right? Having $80,000 and having to pay for a house, a car, and 2 kids, like that is tough to scrape by on.
Oh yeah, that's kind of like always a sitcom problem. It's so rare that you see a living situation that seems, you know, plausible. That's kind of one of those things that, you know, I brought up Roseanne earlier. Roseanne, I mean, they still had a big house, but they had a big family, you know, so there was a lot of people in that house.
Like even the Bundy house, it was a dump, but it was huge. It had multiple floors and stuff. It's
but also how different everything is now. Like in the 80s, Al Bundy was a shoe salesman and could afford that house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
Like,
Yeah, he was a shoe salesman in a mall.
Yeah, single income family. When you look, I think if you do a set that's too small and cramped, it just doesn't like, it's not aesthetically pleasing. And I think something psychologically must not make you want to watch if the room's too tight.
Is there any sitcom that does that?
Any sitcoms that have like smaller sets like that, like a more realistic sized house? I can't really think of any.
No, because even the apartment's a giant, a New York apartment, and it's huge.
I was going to say the Andrew Dice Clay show we covered, where they're in like a New York apartment, is as big as a house set. Where you're like, that's not how this would really be.
Well, I'm trying to think.
Oh, I can think of a perfect one.
It's just not something that's done.
Which
Lucky
one?
Louie, because Lucky Louie is the
Okay.
most realistic show ever. That is a tiny little apartment, and they show that it's a tiny little apartment.
Yeah, they
he has
have
to go.
the kitchen. The kitchen area is kind of big, but there's like no other part of the house.
He goes to jerk off in the kitchen closet because it's the only space that there is where somebody else isn't in the house. Like that's so
True.
so
I was
realistic.
thinking maybe
you know?
Trailer Park Boys too. Like the trailers, I think are realistic.
Yeah, but they're supposed to be poor, and even those trailers are big because they're double wides.
So, anyways, going back to this, after she tucks Roscoe in, there's a knock at the door. And then when she gets to the door and opens it up, it's Gabriel, that manager at the restaurant. And as soon as he says hi, she goes in and like they kiss. And that caught me off guard. I really didn't see that coming.
Same, yeah. I wasn't expecting it.
From what you see in the restaurant, he seems like the kind of character that would be in love with her.
Chase her all the time, yeah.
Yeah.
So they actually, I thought they did a pretty good job of not tipping it too early.
Yeah.
Restaurants, though, are also notorious. I mean, like all job
Yes.
places are, right? Like everybody dates at their work. This is how it is. But restaurants are like, because there's such a high turnover too, like it's just like people date and you move to another restaurant. It's like a big part of that culture.
Oh, man.
So
Don't shit
like,
where you eat.
well, that's the thing though. If you're a kitchen staff and you make the same amount of money pretty much doing the same sort of thing, you can do a lot of lateral moves.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's very common. See it all the time.
And there's a little, you know, reference to her like kind of joking about sleeping with the boss because apparently Rudy had gone home that day with an 8-ball and one of the pastry chefs. So it's like, oh, sleep with the boss. Like, who does that? And they go to kiss
we've had an episode now where you can be like, that might be like the very end of it. We used to like, I always make the joke of like, oh, back when you could do cocaine. 2013, I feel like you could still do cocaine, but that was like the very getting close to the end of it.
You sure about that? I don't think you could do cocaine then.
Fentanyl and stuff in the like that was before that all happened. Like you couldn't pay me to do drugs like that now that I did when I was younger because of the fear of like, you know, this shit's being laced or whatever.
I feel like it was still a problem in 2013.
I don't think fentanyl was an issue.
I don't think it was that though. Back then, the biggest problem was there was just like too much laxative in it, and you were like, "Cool, everyone's like really upbeat and farting." So that's the whole night.
After a good night of cocaine and filet of fish sandwiches, you know,
You could clear out a room. Give me back my filet of fish.
It's just fresh Stewart farting.
We broke fur.
when the two go to kiss again, you hear in the background, "Mom." The Roscoe's back out of bed, and she's like, "Oh shit!" And she shoves Gabriel so hard.
This dude takes a bump.
Yo, that bump he takes killed me.
I thought it was great. That like legit, like I got a chuckle out of me because she pushed him so hard that like he went back fast, and I really like that.
He goes right over the fucking banister into the bush.
Yeah, he goes ass over tea kettle backwards, and it's fucking perfect. He did good for that dude. I hope he got stunt pay for the day.
Yeah.
They could have just shut the door in his face. They went that extra mile, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah, and especially going the extra mile in a pilot, right? As people who constantly have to break these things down, that's a big plus.
It's funny. It's just such like a small, insignificant scene, but it's like one of the things that stood out to me the most in the episode was that happening. And she tells her son, like, "Oh, I'll meet you in bed. I guess he had a bad dream, whatever." And then when he walks off, she opens the door again and says, like, "Hey, sorry, I owe you one." And you just see the thumb, like, you know, thumbs up kind of coming out of the bushes.
Also, can we focus on the I had a bad dream? That kid was not asleep long enough to have a nightmare.
Yeah, well, I guess, yeah, technically.
I think he knew the dude was there and wanted to interrupt. He was protecting his mother.
Maybe giving him too much credit, but
Nah, he's a genius, which you don't know yet.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of a genius named Roscoe. I'm very pro that.
But she also, before closing the door on him again, gives him the warning, like, "Hey, and you might want to get out of here. The sprinklers are going to go off in 10 minutes. Turns out not 10 minutes, about 2 seconds after she shut the door, you hear the sprinklers go off.
Also a good scene end. This show is very good about their fade to blacks, which I also really appreciate.
And her reaction to realizing she was wrong about the time. She's like a really good like physical actress with her like facial expressions and stuff.
And then in that the next scene you see is her like the next day like running into Roscoe's school like to go to the talent show, and she opens the door to the auditorium and it's completely empty except for like the one janitor who's in there, who is like such a nice character. I actually really liked him. They have like that brief exchange where, you know, it's like she finds out there's no talent show. He's like, "Maybe you're just here to meet me." Like me.
Aw.
I was kind of hoping he'd be a character. In Abbott Elementary, the janitor is like, you know, the funniest character on the show, and they use him in every episode.
Right.
I was kind of hoping this would be like a recurring thing.
And then upon finding out the talent show is not happening, she goes and runs over to her son's classroom and like pokes her head in the door. And she's like, "What happened to the talent show?" He's like, it's not today. Like, "You said it was." Like, "Guess I was wrong." And she shuts the door, and then just like you hear her go, "Son of a bitch," and all the kids are giggling.
That felt real too. Like the kids were laughing at a swear.
Yeah.
Because first she goes, "Don't make fun of him for this," and then the door shuts and she goes, "Son of a bitch."
He does some good acting here too, where he does like the head and hands, like, "Oh no, I'm embarrassed, aw shucks" thing.
And you see her outside of the classroom in the hallway, and she's like, "Oh God, I need a drink." But then it immediately cuts to her like at the AA meeting, and she's, you know, at the podium, and she's doing the "I am Christy and I'm an alcoholic," and you know, we go from there. And there's that's when that whole Mike and Molly, like, it mirrors the Overeaters class that Mike was at, and him doing the same speech where he's like at the podium and telling his story. And I thought this was another one though. It was good. It was it was serious, but it wasn't serious in like a way that made you feel uncomfortable. Like we've referenced Blossom before for their pilot where they kind of went too overboard.
Fucking dark in Blossom.
Yeah, she shares just like Mike does. Like she makes jokes, makes things light.
It's
they
a
laugh.
very
It's like,
similar scene. Very
much.
similar. It's like that. It was definitely watched, and there was some notes taken there.
because I would never connect these shows if it wasn't for that scene. And it's like, wow, they're almost identical.
Yeah. But yeah, she does. She's very charming here, and she does kind of explain, like, basically she is who she is because of her mother, and her mother was no, positive role model, and that's leaked into a lot of her bad habits and why she does the same things that her mom does, and she has a bad relationship with alcohol and with men, and isn't connected enough to her children. And you got like I thought a really good performance out of her from that too, because like it was like when she's having that speech and she has the realization that hasn't been a great parent to her children because of these things, like you could see it like affected her. And like, I thought it was just really good for the scene.
And it was lighthearted too. Like, great acting by Anna Faris, because like she'll say something almost dark and then instantly make a joke like you would at one of these meetings.
She's cutting them in at the right points. You know what I mean? They're not like they're cut the tension jokes. They're not like she's not trying to do stand up while she's giving the speech.
I'm sure it's well appreciated too, because I imagine an AA meeting is usually a pretty dour place. You know what I mean? I don't feel like it's a lot of like tight five.
I'm
comedy,
sure depending on like who's sharing that day and like their hardships and their stories.
How dark
like,
the story is, what they've gone through.
Yeah.
But when she's done with her speech and she gets a little bit of applause, she sits down, and the next guy gets up, and as he starts to tell his story, the camera cuts and you can see her sitting down, and there's a woman behind her, and she goes, "Aren't you a little old to be blaming all your problems on your mother?" And you get, "Hi, Mom." And that's Bonnie, played by Allison Janney.
Nick isn't here right now. Nick is a huge West Wing fan. So if anybody watched The West Wing, you'd know her from that. She's been in a million things. I think the best performance ever, has anybody seen I, Tonya?
No.
Nope.
The Tonya Harding movie. It's amazing. It's like basically a comedy heist film. It's really well done, but she plays Tonya Harding's like shitty mom, and she's amazing in that.
Didn't that come out like a few years ago?
Yeah.
It's not like super old. It was somewhat recent.
No. I think it was right before COVID. It may have been like the last movie I saw in a theater before COVID.
Yeah, I remember it coming out now. Didn't she get some nominations for that movie?
I believe so, yeah. I me's amazing in that. That's also the movie that broke, I can't remember the actor's name now, who's so good. Paul Hauser, who's he does like Richard Jewell, and he's like been in a bunch of movies, kind of like a heavivier guy, but he's like this amazing actor.
Paul Walter
like,
Hauser, yeah,
he's
Stingray in the in Cobra Kai.
I fucking hate him.
Oh, I love him. He's amazing in
He ruined that season of Cobra Kai.
I think he is very goofy in Cobra Kai. I am very curious as to how he's going to portray Chris Farley.
It'll be interesting. I will say, if you haven't seen it, because a lot of people haven't, because like the Apple Plus TV shows don't get a lot of, except for Ted Lasso, but he plays a serial killer in a show called Blackbird from last year. It's amazing. He's like a performance that you're like, wow, that was impressive.
Nah, I'll always see Stingray and go, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you for what you did to Steve Irwin, Stingray.
Oh, and just for reference, because I was curious, I looked it up. She did, in fact, win Best Supporting Actress for I, Tonya, so she's got an Oscar for that.
It's deserved. I would honestly say, I think it's on Hulu right now, too. If you guys just have like some time to kill and just want to throw a movie on, it's very funny and very dark at the same time.
I was going to say,
it's really
something
good.
about once you brought it up, it flagged in my brain. I was like, I remember her being spoken about for her portrayal in that movie.
I think that kind of broke Margot Robbie, too, right? I think it was her first like big starring alone role.
She was already like getting pretty big, but yeah, that was like a big role for her, especially to be like in that more serious light.
She was already Harley Quinn by then.
Yeah, but I think that kind of flexed a different side to be in like that style of movie.
She was in Wolf of Wall Street too.
Oh, right.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I have never seen the movie with the Harley Quinn. Does she do the Mr. J?
No.
Does she do the whole like Batman thing? Is it
She
just
doesn't
awful?
do the whole Jersey accent. It's annoying.
So now in the next scene, we see Bonnie and Christy at this like diner together, and they're sitting there, and the waiter Greg walks up and he's asking to take their orders. Bonnie's really quick to kind of introduce the two of them and bring up the whole situation and tell the waiter how they haven't spoken a couple years and this is a really big moment for them. And she's like, what can you recommend for a mother and daughter who are reconnecting after a long, angry silence? And he's like, pie?
This whole diner table scene is next level good. The jokes are amazing. Delivery is amazing. This really sold me on the show. It's just how good, especially Allison Janney, is in this scene.
Pie, probably the right thing for that circumstance too. So great recommendation on the part of the waiter, even though they don't get
food
the
of
pie.
the heart.
What would you have? What would you recommend?
For reconnecting?
Yeah.
Definitely a dessert.
Yeah, it has to be something light. You can't like sit there and like chomp on a real meal. So dessert, if anything, but probably just a coffee moment, to be honest.
I would say coffee too.
Coffee and maybe something like a croissant.
Yeah. So
what I found strange is this is like a little diner thing, and he's recommending like a wine tour. It doesn't seem like that kind of establishment.
yeah,
They don't mention it in this episode, but when I looked it up, they're in Napa. So like they're in the heart of wine country. So I guess
there's just wine everywhere.
They're just wine. I'm guessing there's just wine everywhere in Napa.
Another reason why she shouldn't afford that house.
Right, yeah, also not a cheap area of California to live in.
To have a show too that's like the main characters are all in recovery, and to have the location be like in wine capital of the country is kind of an interesting decision.
It's like, this show takes place in Bourbon County. Like,
So now Bonnie's ordering just like a tea, and she's asking if it's decaffeinated, and it's incredibly important that it's decaf. She said if she has any caffeine after 2:00, her sleep's ruined. And she starts flirting with Greg, and she says, well, if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm calling you. And he's all about it. He's like, well, I guess I'll give you my number.
and good for him. I looked up their age differences. 31 years.
I was going to say, it looked like 31 years.
I think Allison Janney's a babe in this.
Allison Janney's an attractive
is.
woman, but she's not attractive in a way that you would never guess her age. She looks her
sure,
age.
yeah. She's very attractive and you know how old she is. But that makes the joke better, right? Because that kid's like in his early 30s.
She's sexy in the way that like Peggy Bundy is sexy.
But Peggy Bundy wasn't that old. That's the thing. You look at
I mean now.
I was going to say, you look at her now and you're like, wow, she like almost looks better now than when she was Peggy Bundy.
Like now she's like a big role in the Connors now.
Yeah. After the tea order is when, we have all these wines, and Bonnie's quick to step in and be like, oh no, like we're in AA. Christy's like, it's called Alcoholics Anonymous, not Alcoholics Tell Your Waiter. Which is
It's
like
a good line.
Yeah, because obviously not everyone's going to be super comfortable being like forward about that kind of stuff, especially to like this dude you don't even know.
To a stranger.
Yeah, who does not need to know.
Exactly.
That's what I wouldn't care. I don't care if it's a stranger.
Well, it's like it's not even like a alcoholism thing. It's just everyone has different comfort levels as to like what they're open about and to who. I'm like open about everything, like to a fault.
I'm the same way, yeah.
Anna Faris too. I believe she said that she was like 102 days sober.
It was a little bit more than that. It was like 118, something like that. It was almost 4 months.
Yeah. So I can see, I mean, truth be told, I've been through that. I've been sober for 10 years and almost 10 years now. And
congrats.
Well, thank you. I can see.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you, Ferg. I can see how being new, you wouldn't want people to know it.
Yeah, I will say too, I mean, look, we live in a really better time, I think, now than even 11 years ago, if you are a person who doesn't drink, because nobody asks you that question anymore. No one's like, if you're like, oh, I don't drink, people are just like, okay. Like, it's not as stigmatized, I think, and now there's all these companies making non-alcoholic beer and, making all these, like, there's the biggest beer market in the country right now is non-alcoholic beer, right? Like, it's, I think, a much more, and honestly, I think it's through COVID. I applaud you so much, Gordo, for going through COVID.
Well, thank you.
As a sober person, because I really hit some bottoms there drinking wise. Because I just couldn't handle it, right? Like, I think coming out of that, I think as a society, we're a little more understanding of like, we've all saw some weird shit, and like, it's fine if people don't drink. You have to like bring it up or ask why they don't.
Yeah, I think in a case like with her, and this is even if she has any, she might just be mad at her mom for just being like so forthcoming. But if you have any like stigma with it early on in recovery, I think it's kind of almost this. I think people just in general, whatever their vice is, it's the understanding where you think everyone cares about what you're doing so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like it's that you need to get it in your head that like no one cares that you don't drink. Not and I mean that in a way where like it doesn't bother anybody that you don't drink, and no one's upset or like thinks weirdly about the fact. It's just it just is what it is. Like, oh, you don't drink. That's no different than I don't like mushrooms or whatever your thing is. You know what I mean? It's just part of who you are, but it's not like this defining thing that's like, oh, that's so weird. Like she doesn't drink. Now what do we do? Like it doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
I would say the counter to that is it depends on how old you are.
That too.
Because the younger you are, although this generation, I think data I've read before has said that like this generation that's growing up now doesn't drink a lot.
Nerds.
Yeah, nerds.
I'm kidding. Kind of.
Kind of little. But they just don't drink a lot. So maybe it's not that big of a stigma, and it won't be that big of a stigma going forward. But like nobody sits there and has ever said like, well, why don't you? Like usually the I don't drink, I'm sober is enough to shut
That's
down.
usually enough, yeah. I just think it's like that internal dialogue you might be having in the early days of it where you're like, you're overly worried about what the response is more so than, you know, or having the experience to understand that like the person you're going to tell, it's not going to result in this weird moment. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, and we move on.
For this scene though, good on Greg because it doesn't bother him one bit. He's like, oh, you don't like ice in your water, you don't want caffeine after 2, and you don't drink. I don't care. I'm still going to go out with you. So
I think what's interesting here is in this moment where, you know, they're talking about the, you know, the alcoholic side of everything. When Bonnie's telling her daughter like, oh, like I heard you don't drink anymore. Like I thought you might want to know that I've been sober for 2 years. And she's like, nah, yeah, I don't care. And I was just kind of like, oh, that's a little harsh. Like I know you have a bad relationship with your mother, but you would think someone who's like going through the program might understand like, you know, your mom a little bit more now and like that she's working on herself. So I was like, wow, it's a little harsh.
Well, why wait 2 years to reach out to her?
Yeah, phone works both ways.
Yeah. Maybe she also had to wait for her daughter to start to make some changes because maybe she couldn't be around it either if her daughter was going through substance issues. You don't know.
Her mother also, like, you get it, like, glimpses of it later in the episode that, like, her mother's kind of a narcissist, too. Like, she's not a good mother.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Her vibe when you first see her at the meeting, like when she's like addressing her daughter, like for blaming her for her problems, you're all like, uh-oh, she's going to be like a big antagonist character. But she does kind of settle down a little bit in this scene. But yeah, Joe, I think you brought up the no ice thing. I liked that when Greg brings out Bonnie's water with the ice. He's like, oh, can I get one with no ice? Like, it's really like my digestive system has a hard time with water. And then when he like goes to replace it, that's when Christy's like, excuse me? Like, I've seen you lick cocaine crumbs out of a shag carpet and now ice water bothers you. That response from Bonnie when she's saying like, it's not a sin to be thrifty, dear. Like that was another like big crowd pop.
Yeah. She's got the best like retorts to everything that Anna Faris throws at her.
That's her mom. That's why.
When poor Greg shows back up with the water, he's like, hey, hope you're being nice to your mother. And she's like, go away, Greg. And he just like runs off.
Hey, I just realized we finally have a Greg on the show.
I know. For all the times we use Greg as like the nondescriptor name.
We had one for Dharma and Greg.
Oh, and Greg the Bunny.
We've had plenty of Gregs. Yeah,
but we need like an everybody, nobody character on a show named Greg because it works. Like the waiter, Greg or whatever, right? Like that's how that works.
I thought, you know, and again, like just because there's a lot of serious subject matter that is woven into the show, it's just going to inherently come up a lot. I do kind of find this argument interesting where Bonnie's telling Christy like to like calm down, like maybe she's taking Xanax or something. And she's like, you should understand of all people that I can't take Xanax. And she's like, oh, maybe I'm not 2 years clean then. Now, that's kind of an interesting line though, because if you're prescribed something like that, then it's not, you're not really going against it.
You
it's
can't
if you're
with
taking
addiction though, because that leads to other things.
I got prescribed Xanax very easily when I needed it to like fly. They were like, okay, here's 10 of them, right? But
Yeah.
I guess the overprescribing is a problem too, though, because they're like, here's 10 of them. They weren't like, here's 50 of them and 7 refills, because I probably would have taken a lot more of them, you know?
Well, isn't Xanax too like a weird, not a weird party drug, but like more of like a drug of choice now? Like with maybe like
It's when you combine it with booze.
It's with, yeah, it doesn't do anything but make you feel like when people take it to fly because it relaxes you, right? That's why
because it makes you fly.
Is that what lean is?
I don't know what lean is.
Is that something that the kids are doing?
Yes. Yeah, it's like a drink.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
It's like a drink.
Is that like scissor?
Kind of. It's like, I think that's actually another name for it.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
I think it's like Xanax and like something else mixed with like alcohol. But
yeah, I mean, like any pills you take, if you add booze, that's just gonna make things. Like when I got those, the doctor was like, you can have a drink on the plane if you want, but wait 4 hours.
Oh.
Otherwise, you'll be a fucking mess. And I was like, oh.
Oh, lean is scissor.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying you're right. That's funny.
Purple drink.
I was kidding.
Oh.
I was just Googling it at the same time. I was like, that can't be right. And then I was like, oh, it is.
Yeah, but is it Xanax?
Isn't Sizzurp and lean, though? Isn't that like cough syrup?
It could be.
Mostly
it's codeine and an antihistamine.
Yeah, so it's codeine.
Okay.
So basically it's taking a really strong codeine Tylenol plus having allergy medicine makes you fucked up.
Noted.
Lean's way less fun than scissor. Just saying.
Right? Like, I don't want to get fucked up on lean. I want to get fucked up on scissor.
We'll get back into this. During this conversation, we also find out that Bonnie and Violet have stayed in touch, and Christy's not happy about that, but I mean, I get it, right? Like there's it's still her grandchildren, like just because they're estranged, I don't think that means you have to be excommunicated from the entire family.
So this show it makes Anna Faris look like, oh, she's so mean to her mom and stuff like that.
I don't think they do enough to show what her mom did to her.
Like her mom was rotten to her growing up.
Yeah.
Like not rotten, but like a mess.
I think they could have done a little bit to better explain. Like it comes up, but we don't see enough of it. So we just see this woman who's like on the mend and trying to do the right thing. And you have Anna Faris who's coming off as like being too harsh on her. But maybe if we saw more backstory with them, or if it was explained at some point through like a montage or through the intro or something.
Oh, I got that right away that the mother was a jerk, because like every time Anna Faris said like was looking for an apology, the mother like did the narcissistic.
But that's not till way later though. So that's till like one of the last scenes.
Sure, there's a lot of example of it, but I do think they could have done a little bit more, because the examples we're seeing now, it just seems like she's trying to cut her off on every step, like anything she's trying to do or say. And you have like Christy who's just kind of like, no, stay away from my kids. I don't want you in my life. You're a terrible person. But you're not seeing her be a terrible person yet. So you're kind of like, well, give her a shot.
I always talk shit about the cutaways and flashbacks on shows. I say they do it too much. So this show probably could have done with a little bit of that. Like cut to them, like
one like flashback to her as a kid and her mom being like off the rails or whatever, like something. But this is when Bonnie's telling her like, well, someone needs to talk to her, talking about Violet, and already she's like, she's sexually active, she's drinking, she's smoking, like, sound familiar?
It's like an endless cycle. Started with the grandmother, then the mom, and now the kid.
And it's tough because, I mean, it's kind of like when you were at that AA meeting, like, it's explained, it's what you know, and then you try to break from those habits, but it is just like, it's what you perceive life to be, because that's all you've ever really seen. So you just kind of revert to what you see all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Nature versus nurture.
And that's kind of another thing too, though. Like, I feel like, just like with Bonnie, I don't think we saw enough of, we see, Violet's boyfriend sneak out the door, but we're not seeing that much of like, oh, we have to watch out for her. She's kind of wild. Like, you just see her being fairly normal anytime you got interactions from her.
Yeah, I mean, she did have a boy over, and she is 16.
But she doesn't look so young that that's crazy. You know what I mean? Having a boy over at that age is like pretty normal.
No, it is. But old man Gordo goes,
How old is the daughter's supposed to be here, probably
I
15,
thought 15,
16-ish.
16.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got like
Yeah.
16ish probably.
Tough because she looks older.
Yeah.
But I want to say all the kids in the show played the proper age that they were. I could have sworn I read that. So I think with her and the other kid, like her boyfriend and stuff, like I think they played the role they were supposed to be.
I could have sworn she said 16 at the end. But
So would I put Anna Faris around like what 33ish?
At that time, maybe right around that. But yeah, the girl who played Violet, she's 27 now. She's born in 97. So this episode came out in what, 2013?
2013.
So 97, 2007. Yeah, she's about 16 there. Yeah, so not crazy.
It's also crazy to think of somebody being born in the late 90s almost being 30. Holy shit.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys who were born in the mid 80s. It definitely hits a little different now.
Shut up. 2000 was only 5 years ago.
But yeah, this is also where we get that kind of the conversation you were talking about, Gordo, with like the forgiveness thing, and the mother doesn't understand that she should be apologizing also. So even though Christy's got kind of this like, hey, I'm sorry, there's things I could have been better about, Bonnie doesn't understand that she should be reciprocating. So she gets the apology and is just kind of like, thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and as soon as she got that, I knew exactly what type of character the mother was supposed to be, like as a younger mother. Why Anna Faris is fucked up.
We do get a little bit of like how unhinged mom was when she was saying to Bonnie, while other mothers were cooking dinner, you were cooking meth. And she goes, yeah, otherwise known as working.
Cooking meth too is like the most dangerous thing to do. So she must have been very good at it.
Oh, I watched Breaking Bad. I know all about it. I'm basically an expert because I watched the show.
And then we'll see another Breaking Bad character show up soon.
I've never seen it.
I've only seen it sparingly. I feel like it's one of those shows, like I've never seen that or Mad Men. Everyone's like, you have to watch all of those. Next plague we get, I guess I'll get around to them.
Breaking Bad is one of those shows that by all metrics is not the kind of show I typically like to watch. I usually stick in my comedy genre, and I loved Breaking Bad.
I hated Breaking Bad. I do like Better Call Saul, though, which is weird because it's the same universe, but...
Ferg, I mean, you guys know, I don't know if the listeners know, but Ferg's someone who also formulates opinions and nothing can change them no matter what happens after. And Ferg decided he didn't like Breaking Bad before he watched it.
No. We used to all watch wrestling together, and you guys would switch it over to Breaking Bad. You're like, oh, this show's so good. So I get stuck watching an episode with no context, and it's just a bald guy with cancer crying in the desert every other episode. And then to say I don't have an open mind, I went back and I watched the whole show. Because you know what? You say I don't have an open mind. I watched the whole show. I still don't like it.
The best summation of that show in one sentence: a bald guy with cancer crying in the desert.
I will say, Ferg, you have also openly said how many times that you have hate watched shows on purpose and hated the show and still continue to watch it.
You know what finally won me over? What I used to hate? I now love Cloverfield.
What? That's a big revelation. If you guys don't know, I mean, you wouldn't know. This is something that's been going on since this movie came out. Ferg hated Cloverfield with every fiber of his being for so long. And I'm kind of stunned right now that you all of a sudden like it.
I watched it with my girlfriend recently. It is worth a rewatch. And the amount of fucking like people that are famous now that are just cameos
Like
in that
TJ Miller
movie.
and stuff was one of the main
Not
guys.
even
right?
it's like the dude from like Sons of Anarchy. He's in like a bunch of shit. I can't think of his name right now. And like there's just a bunch of like side characters. You're like, oh, you're in this, you're in this, you're in this, and like they're just people that are at the party at the beginning of the movie. You're like, what the hell? And yeah, like you said, TJ Miller's one, but he's canceled now, so we don't bring him up.
A bunch of people seem to fall hard from Silicon Valley, huh?
Yeah,
Because didn't the other main character get sort of canceled too?
the main character.
Yeah, like the kid who invented the internet, the guy who like started the company. I think there was something about like him like forcing polyamorous relationships on his wife who didn't want to, and it became like a weird thing, and that dude hasn't been like around since then, so I don't know what happened.
Oh. Glad to have Bummer Joe back. It's been so long since we've been able to interject bummer stories throughout the episodes.
It's good to be back home, everybody.
Christy leaves after telling her mom that she doesn't want her anywhere near her children. And after she takes off, Greg walks up and he goes, "Hey, is everything okay?" It's like, "Yeah, my daughter doesn't get me. When do you get off work? I could use a lap to cry on." She went hard on Greg.
Greg's a lucky man.
Yeah, I bet Greg had a wonderful evening. And all the Xanax he could have.
So now we cut back to the restaurant and we see Gabriel in like the main dining area, like when the restaurant's not open yet, and he's just got like his laptop open and he's like just kind of working on stuff. And the way it's shot is you can see behind him that the kitchen door is kind of cracked open, and you see Rudy with one of the other chefs, and the other chef's like crying, and Rudy's just like, "Oh, stop crying. It wasn't an important finger."
I've been in that situation before.
You cut your finger off?
No, I've cut my finger so bad that like I thought I was going to pass out. It was at a place that Joe's wife and I worked at, and the chef was like, "Here, take some duct tape, sit down with your hand up." And I did that for like 2 hours. I thought I was going to fucking pass out, but I finished my shift.
When I worked in produce, I basically filleted my finger open doing like prepping corn. I needed like 10 stitches for that. I was actually told that like slightly deeper, I would have lost the use of my index finger, which would have been very unfortunate.
It's crazy. Like the littlest thing could be like, "You have no hand now."
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of nerves in there.
That's karma for you making me get stitches.
My bad. Are you happy now, man? I said my bad. Ferg would be more upset if I made him eat corn than by
I love corn.
Yeah.
Do you eat it the long way like Goldberg?
So Christy walks in and she sees Gabriel. She's like, "Oh, good. You're still here. Like, I'm just like, I really need to talk to you. I'm having like the worst day." And while she's saying that, this woman walks out from like wherever and says to Gabriel, like, "Hey, you ready to go?" And he's like, "Oh, yes, dear." And then he turns back to Christy. He's like, "Hey, Christy, like, you know my wife." And again, caught me off guard. Didn't see this
I
coming.
was so let down by Gabriel, who had already won over my heart at this point.
Yeah, Gabriel seemed like a good dude. But yeah, I was like legit stunned. I was like, "Oh, shit."
He seemed like he had a heart of gold. Oh, now he's cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she was taking mega doo-doos in the bathroom because she tells Anna Faris that there's no toilet paper left. So she blew that toilet up.
Oh, Dee Dee Megadoodoo?
I mean, maybe there wasn't any toilet paper in there.
Sometimes, listen, I don't want to get too graphic with any of this ever, really, but sometimes ladies need a little bit of toilet paper when they go number one as well.
Yeah, as I say, Gordo, anatomy, most women use like a piece of toilet paper after they pee as well.
I'm well aware, but in my headcanon, she took a dump and then told her to go clean the bathroom.
Yeah.
I wish someone would take a cannon to your head.
Yeah.
Well, then I'd be headless, Ferg. And then you'd get me dabbing headless in the background looking for my head.
Somehow your neck hole would just talk about your dog and be like, "Jesus Christ, it never ends."
Fucking Oscar over here.
That's Gordo's next Halloween costume, the headless dabber. But when Christy's introducing herself, she's like, "Oh yeah, it's like good to see you again, Claudia." And she's like, "It's Claudia." And that's when she's like, "Oh, by the way, like the bathroom needs attention. Like, I don't know if that's you or not, Christy." And she's like, "It's not," and it's Christy. I thought I don't know why. One of the dumber jokes of the whole show. I thought that one was really good.
Also, like, how to make you hate a character right away. Like, what good writing. It's not Claudia, it's Claudia. Immediately we're like, fuck that lady.
Yeah, you're like, that girl sucks. Even though, like, I was thinking about this actually earlier when I was watching. It's like, logistically, if that is her name, that's not her fault if it's pronounced outside of the common way. But yeah, it's always like synonymous with a douchebag character.
It's weird. I mean, there's a weird preconceived notion of like, this is how a name is supposed to be. And that's probably wrong. You know what I mean? Like, it could be anything you want it to be. But you hear it and you're like, fuck that person so hard.
Dick. Like, it's my fucking name. I didn't make it.
I didn't do this. Yeah.
I'm going to call them by the wrong name every time, too. On purpose.
So the couple walks off. Now she's sitting alone at the table, and Rudy and that chef with a missing finger are leaving, and they walk out. And I'm assuming he's taking him to the doctor. Rudy looks over at him. He's like, "Don't serve the soup."
Again, just he has these little quick lines, and every one of them is gold.
Cut back to her house, and you see Roscoe's in the living room playing video games with who we come to find out is his dad.
More Breaking Bad people.
Yeah.
The dad, his name's Baxter in the show, but Matt Jones, who we talked about recently, Bob Hart Abishola, The Office, Breaking Bad, which you just brought up. Like, he's in so many things. He's one of those like guys who's like never the star, but always like in a solid role on the show.
Yeah, I really liked him in The Office too. He's the guy who like we couldn't figure out what the relationship was in the very opening scene of Bob Hart's Abishola. We're like, is this his kid? Is this his brother? Like, what's happening?
And they're playing it sounds like they're playing GTA because they're talking about strippers and stuff in the game, or hookers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They allude to it being GTA without saying it's GTA,
Without
so they don't have
saying
to
it in
pay
a way that's
anyone.
going to cost them money. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are there any other games where you can?
Hit a hooker with a bat.
Yeah, I feel like that was like their market.
Yeah, it's the only one I know.
Yeah, it's the only one I know too.
That's fun for me. That's when I stopped playing video games. Was I think like GTA Vice City had just come out, and I played that game so much. The best soundtrack ever in that game too. And he changed the
That's
radio
the best
stations.
one.
It is, yeah. There's supposed to be a new one coming out soon.
If it ever comes out, 6. It keeps getting delayed. People have been waiting for that for years.
It's supposed to be like Vice City on crack.
But we'll have the same soundtrack. That's the issue.
I have to switch it up.
You can now listen to Spotify when you're playing like your Xbox, so you don't need it.
Yeah, but I think that takes away the fun of you get in the car and the radio's just on.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Do you remember the one before that when Push It to the Limit was on the radio?
It was like the whole Scarface soundtrack.
Yeah.
But yeah, with a game like that, what you typically, when they're timepieces, like essentially you want them to create a vibe with the soundtrack. So if you're just listening to your music, it doesn't like sync the same way. You know what I mean? Like that's all. The soundtrack is like part of the set in a way. You know what I mean? It's like all aiding to the other senses. It's all trying to put you in this world.
The artistic expression, if you will.
Sure. But yeah, anyways, Baxter, Roscoe's dad, they're playing the games, and
Roscoe and Baxter. These names.
Christy's like, "What are you doing here?" And the two of them end up sidebarring in the kitchen, and we find out that he's trying to borrow $2,000 so he can buy a whole bunch of weed and sell it so he can profit and pay all the child support he owes.
6 months of it he's missed.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's the thing too. You know that she's struggling. She's a single parent. She's got 2 kids, 2 different fathers. So he's not paying his child support. So, you know, if she's barely getting by as it is and you're 6 months behind, that's, you know, low end. You're talking probably, depending on what he does for a living, like a couple $100 a week still, you know what I mean? So that's like a big chunk of money you're not getting to like pay these bills where you're living.
Also, I don't know a ton about it, but like if you're getting really far behind in your child support, you can go to jail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he should be trying to do other schemes to get that money and working a little harder than asking her for the money.
It actually came up at my work recently. We were just telling stories of things that have happened over the years since we've been there. And there was a case where like the state police came like out to where I work and like scoop someone up, like, you owe money. That was that.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing you can go to jail for owing money and taxes. Depressing.
Well, so is not paying for your child. So, man, so many fun topics in this show.
I told you when you picked this show, it's going to bring up some dark things.
Yeah. So now while they're having this conversation, we see the Violet's boyfriend walk out again, shirtless still.
Shirtless again.
So I guess that's just his thing. It's not so much that I just thought we saw him shirtless earlier because he just had sex, but maybe he just doesn't like shirts.
Well, he just had sex again.
They might have.
There's just some dudes that enjoy being shirtless. I'm not one of them, but there are people.
I like wearing shirts. That's why I'm wearing my new S1E1 tank top.
Oh,
Yeah,
Ferg,
but you know
so
what?
am
Over
I.
the years, since it's being plugged, we do have some merch. So go to S1E1pod.com and we have a link and you can look like Ferg and Gordo do right now and wear S1E1 tank tops. Right as the summer months are approaching.
We have some creative designs.
Over the last few years, Ferg's really embraced the no sleeve life, like more and more. Where I used to always be without sleeves, and I feel like I wear less and less sleeveless things.
I've never felt comfortable sleeveless.
Yeah, I am starting to be like Ferg.
You can't lock these guns up. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I got
Well,
all these
Joe,
tats
you
and nothing.
you rarely wear shorts.
Yeah,
Yeah, I am usually
Joe
just
sleeps in jeans.
We were talking about how I'm happy because my favorite time of the year is upon us, where I can be fully dressed but barefoot. That's my level of comfort. I am right
so
now.
bizarre.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
I find it very comfortable.
I get it, Joe, just because once you get to a certain age, you care more about being comfortable than anything, and that's why I wear tank tops and shorts all the time.
Yeah, but Joe's the opposite. Joe's taking his shoes off to be comfortable, but he wants to have long sleeves and long pants on at all times.
But that's what's comfortable to him.
T-shirt sleeves usually, though.
I think the most comfortable time, like I like this time of year because that's usually when you get away with shorts and a hoodie, which is like one of the great combos.
Oh, see, I get too cold easily. I don't like this season, but summertime, I love it. Like once it starts to hit around now, my new favorite thing since the pandemic, once it's warm, if I'm not at work, I don't wear shoes. I wear sandals.
Plus, you can Donald Duck it.
Always Donald Ducking it.
Always Donald Ducking. No, I never wear shoes now. And it is very freeing. Sandal man.
They're not sandals, they're Crocs.
So I have some knockoff Tevas that I wear because I have to drive. But in the house, I have Crocs. And then for the winter time, I have furry Crocs so that I can just slip on.
Okay, enough of this. Enough of this.
What?
I have one quick Croc question, though.
Sure.
Are they hard to drive in?
No.
No.
You just said that you have Tevas because you have to drive.
So I only own furry Crocs, but I own regular Croc sandals, like what you would typically think of as like the across the foot sandal.
Yeah. What they call slides, I think they call those, right?
Slides, yes.
Slides, right? Yeah.
So I don't own proper Crocs.
Thong sandals.
Correct.
Well, moving right along.
Jay, you're going to get a pair and you're going to join us.
It's not gonna happen. And I'm never gonna
He won't even
them.
wear sweatpants. You think he's gonna wear Crocs?
Shorts. But anyways, yeah. I did like the idea of Baxter not being comfortable with Violet having her boyfriend over. Like, you allow that? It's like, you can tell he's the most irresponsible person on earth, but he's very judgmental towards his ex's parenting style. Like, hey, this is like, I don't want my son seeing this.
I love the idea of having thinking you have any say when you owe 6 months of child support and you're a drug dealer.
Because she brings up how like parenting advice from the guy who you had your own son pee into a sippy cup so you could pass a drug test. He's like, and it worked.
The beauty of having a kid right there.
And like, to add to all the chaos of the scene, we get the knocking at the door and we see Gabriel back again. And he's trying to give like the whole excuse, like, oh, I can't divorce Claudia. Her father owns the restaurant. Like, he'd fire me. There's a lot of drama going on at this workplace.
This is some good backstory, though, to understand the characters a little more very quickly.
Sure. Is that enough for you, though? Because that to me just sounds like the typical excuse to string the girl along so you don't have to leave your wife.
Oh, yeah, because he could just get another job at a different restaurant because he has experience managing a restaurant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like those situations always. It's excuse, but if you really want to be with the person, you would be.
yeah, I mean, that's the classic, right? He's going to leave them for me, but it never does.
Joe, you said you watched ahead. Is the next episode when the wife finds out about them?
No, it's a little further into the first season, like 10 episodes
I
or
thought
so in.
so.
Not to get ahead.
I was just I like I said, I've seen this episode at least four or five times, and then the rest of the show that I've seen has been sporadic, random episodes. So I wasn't sure if that next episode, because I've seen the episode when she finds out, and I know it's season 1. I won't reveal anything else.
So after Christy shut the door on Gabriel, she turns around and her daughter Violet's standing there, and she says to her, like, I can't believe you're sleeping with that loser. And Christy's like, I can't believe you're sleeping with that loser, like pointing over at Luke, the shirtless kid. And she's like, we're mostly studying. And she's saying how she loves him. And she's like, I used to love him, and points at Baxter. And he's like, she did.
I love the round robin of this
Yeah.
scene.
Well, you're just seeing that, like, they're so similar. And that's really what she doesn't like. Christy doesn't like is she's seeing that her daughter is just exactly like her now. And she doesn't want her to be like her because Christy doesn't like her own life, let alone want to see it mirrored through her child. But I thought they were in this argument, like the response to that when they're going back and forth and Violet's telling her mom, like, hey, like me and Luke have been together for like a year. You just didn't notice because you were drinking. You're just now starting to notice like our relationship. I thought maybe don't make her seem like she's making a valid point right here. Like you want her to look like she's also being irresponsible. But this reply is very like, oh, you know what? No, this is all on Christy. And I think that was kind of the problem with a lot of the stuff is, you know, Bonnie, Christy, and Violet all have similar issues, right? But in every incarnation, it just always looks like it's Christy who's at fault. So whether she's arguing with her daughter or with her mother, like Christy's always the bad guy somehow.
Yeah, it's interesting too. It's like the apple from the tree or whatever, right? But it does, like they're trying to pull the whole thing on. It's like, well, everyone's getting a little better over time too, right? Like you see the generational thing happening here. But I do like that they just point out that they all make terrible decisions when it comes to dating. And I do love in this scene how funny Luke is, where he's just like really nonplussed by being called a loser. You know, he's just like, well, whatever.
Just chilling, eating his banana. He's like, comes in its own case. Violet's still arguing with her mom. Christy wants her daughter's like forgiveness for all the bad things she's done. And she's like, what? Like, then I want you to forgive grandma, you know? And she's like, no, that's completely different. She's like, it's exactly the same. And Christy, to her credit, cares so much about her relationship with her daughter that that's enough to make her kind of swallow her pride and like pick up the phone and call her mom.
She calls her bluff pretty good. But I think that's like another character building moment too, where you're supposed to be like, Christy wants to do better.
Yeah.
And wants to be a good mom enough that she will immediately cave.
She'll bury the hatchet with her mom despite very much not wanting to, just to help mend her relationship with her daughter, which is, yeah, admirable.
And hilarity ensues.
Not so much there. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like,
so this is more like a heartfelt scene, but there's a funny stinger in this phone call too.
You knew it was coming because after she gives us the whole speech about, you know, I forgive you for everything that happened and like I get you did the best you could and that's what I'm trying to do. There's the pause and you're like, wait for it, because it's so obvious like they're gonna, you know, end that on a joke, and you get the no, I didn't take Xanax from your purse. you knew there's gonna be something. So she gets this whole big speech, and the whole time the mom just kind of sitting there like, oh, good, I have her on the phone. I can ask her if she took that Xanax from me.
It was Greg.
Oh, I didn't take it like that. I thought she was asking her because now she's suddenly apologizing to her, so she thinks she's on Xanax.
Oh no, I guess it could be argued either way. And where all three of you read it a different way than I did, then maybe I'm just in the wrong. But
no, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It could have been written any way. That's how I took it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I guess it could have worked. I mean, it could work in either scenario. So she hangs up and she says to her daughter, like, I forgave my mother. Are we good? And she's like, it's not that easy.
I mean, that's a proper response too, though. Like, I'm glad you did that. There's also years of build up to this. You can't just do it a phone call.
So Violet leaves and Roscoe yells over to his dad, like, hey, if you hit the hookers enough times, they give you your money back.
I forgot that was a thing in those games.
Yeah.
You pick up a sex worker, you have sex with them, and then you kill them, take your money back. Holy shit.
Baxter's like, smart kid, that's my semen at work. And she says to him, hey, is that red van out front? Is that where you're living? He's like, yep. He's like, well, your house is being towed. Oh no, my cleaning lady's in there. Who's this cleaning lady?
That joke was funny, but then it made me go like, wait, what does he mean?
Is it his girlfriend?
Yeah, is it his girlfriend? I don't think it's a situation like that with a prostitute because she wouldn't be waiting in the van.
Maybe he's just making a joke because he says it's his house.
He seems serious though. Like he says it like and runs out.
Well, in reality, it's illegal to tow a car with a person in it.
I guess with a van though, how do you know?
Do you think he has a shaggin' wagon?
Probably. It's probably like a no window type of van.
You do see it later on, and there's a bed in there because he's living in there.
I felt like there would be a bed in there and all that.
It's definitely a shaggin' wagon. There's even a coffee maker in there.
Ooh, fancy.
So after he runs out after his car, we get the last scene. And you see Christy walking in after a night at work again, and Violet and Bonnie are in the kitchen together laughing. And Christy's not happy to see her mom. Violet's defending her like, hey, she cooked me and Roscoe dinner, like hot dinner. Like we had hot dinner, which I guess like you don't realize if you're in a situation like that is something not to take for granted, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a lot of like cereal for dinner situations happening there when
or she made something and left it out, like, oh, just reheat, like whatever, maybe some leftovers from the restaurant.
Yeah, maybe it's secondhand heat, not actual out the oven.
Secondhand heat.
You know what I mean? Microwave heat's not the same.
I missed this. I really did.
Violet goes to take off. She gives her grandma like a hug and then just like stares her mom down before leaving. Now that it's just the two of them, Bonnie asks Christy if she wants some tea. She's like, okay, because I think she declined the dinner. And it's kind of Bonnie saying, I'm so glad like we have a chance to start over. Christy's like, well, we're not quite there yet. As they're talking, like we get kind of back into that whole situation again with the like, Bonnie should apologize, but she's only accepting apologies and doesn't really understand that it's the two-way street.
But I guess, too, if you think about it, she's not fully at the recovery period that Christy is, too, because she's still...
Bonnie's 2 years sober.
No, she's not, because she's
Xanax, and she might be prescribed them, so we can't judge.
Sure, but if you overuse them...
If she is, but we don't know. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. We don't know.
As discussed earlier, not that much fun unless you pour booze on it.
Or tea. She drinks a lot of tea.
Yeah, I don't know what if Earl Grey and Xanax causes anything fun to happen.
Whoa!
Not Darjeeling.
And as they have this conversation, the doorbell rings. It's Greg. Greg the waiter is here to go on a date with Bonnie.
I also like that means she was like, hey, we're going to go on a date tonight. It's like, cool. Pick me up at my daughter's house. Like, she knew that was going to happen? Or did she call him later and say, I'm here now?
Yeah, a little weird. And also the bragging, like, hey, it's Greg. Remember him? And she goes, hi, new dad, which is funny because they look close in age.
Such a good line.
Yeah, they're like probably exactly the same age.
And then Bonnie's like, oh, stop. He's way too young for me. It's like, you're on a date with him right now. Like, how are you saying that he's too young for you? But is also very, like almost proud to bring up that he's also married.
Yeah, that's a flex.
This is another great tossed up line there. It's like, married. What a whore. Because she's doing the same thing too. Like, it's so funny.
Yeah, it closes with Bonnie had left. And then, oh, by the way, like opens the door again, pokes in and says to her daughter, almost forgot your daughter thinks she might be pregnant. Call me if you need me. And that's where we leave off.
Another part that made me feel very much like the pilot of Reba.
It's the full circle moment with them because she's her mom. She's now, much like her mom was like, hey, I had you real young because I was doing all these things that I see you doing now. It ended the way we thought it would end, and now she's pregnant. Well, at least we think so.
Makes real cliffhanger. Makes you want to see episode 2.
It is. It's a strong last line because it does leave you at an oh shit moment.
You're like, is she messing with her? Is it true?
Yeah, that's like perfect though, right? Like, I want to know if that's real, and I think you understand that all three of them the exact same thing. So she definitely is going to be pregnant.
Yeah, I didn't really question it, only because it looks like Violet and Bonnie have a pretty solid relationship. So it definitely checks that she would confide in her grandma and tell her and not her mom.
Well, she just said she thinks. So I have a feeling, without seeing episode 2, that maybe she's not. And this is the bridge to recovery, if you will, of their relationship.
I can tell you if you wanted.
I was going to say, I know the answer.
Okay,
but,
tell me.
She does end up being pregnant, yeah.
Yeah, she has a kid.
Oh, okay.
But I will say, because the show is written so dark, when we watched that episode, we thought it was going to be that she was pregnant and then was going to not be. Like, we thought it was going in that direction.
Oh.
Because that's like the weird thing about this show, right? Where like it's funny and dark at the same time.
This show gets so dark. Like, this episode is nothing compared to some of the other.
Yeah, we
stuff
talk
they
about
do
just in this
lately.
episode alone, and then it's almost like from our end when we're talking about it and joking around, and like we start to joke, and then the next thing that happens is something depressing or something serious, and you go, oh, from our end, as people who are trying to dissect but also entertain you guys as you listen, you go, Ooh, this is a challenging one to joke around about because of all the serious things that happen.
Yeah, this has definitely been a challenging episode to cover.
I could very much see this show being hard for certain people to watch too, right? Because like you can be triggered by so many of these things if you live
for
through
sure.
it, you know.
But yeah, this is that was the conclusion of the episode, and again we dove in pretty deep on that one and talked about everything. For those of you moms out there, for the special Mother's Day edition, you know, so wanted this wholesome show.
Hi, Mom.
And to my wife, who's now a mother, happy Mother's Day.
And to my wife, who's a doodle mom, happy Mother's Day.
No, Oscar. Not the same.
I can't believe it just came out of Gordo's neck hole there. One thing I do want to say, because French Stewart is so good in this, but the character Paul, who like gets his finger chopped off and he's on fire, he is, in every episode going forward, he's like French Stewart's second, but he never says anything.
So he has a little bit more of a role.
He just smiles, doesn't say any words, and just jokes. And everything French Stewart does in every episode I've seen so far is amazing. There's even an episode where he's like, Paul taught me about bisexuality. And because it's French Stewart and that voice, and that guy just looks and smiles, like it's so fucking good. And there's an episode where she walks into the kitchen and French Stewart goes, "Penny for your thoughts?" And she goes, "No." He's like, "I'll give you 1,000 for your tushy." And I fucking died at him saying that. And it's one of those things where it's like, I have to learn how to make a GIF because now I need to go make that something that I could use in chats all the time.
So yeah, in any event, we've covered this pretty extensively. So I think at this point, there's really nothing left to do but do the green light or cancel. I want to remind anyone listening that we are down a person, so there's always an event of a tie. One way or another, though, be sure to go to S1E1 Pod on Instagram and X. S1E1pod.com has all the links for that stuff as well. And we put up graphics with all our final results and scores, as well as clips and other things from the episodes each week and other bonus content. So be sure to give us a follow there. But I kind of have a feeling there's not going to be a tie situation here. But I'm going to go in the order I see you guys in. Gordo, starting with you.
So earlier, I said I don't like the show. And I still don't like the show. It is a little depressing. Like, it's funny, and the characters work really well, and everybody acts great together. They have great chemistry. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. So even though I don't like the show because it hits a little too close to home for me, I'm still going to greenlight it because I can see other people liking it. Like, it's a well-written show, and it does leave you on a cliffhanger that does make you want to see episode 2. So, green light from me.
Ferg.
Yeah, green light from me as well. I tend to hate more modern sitcoms and stuff. This seems to be more in my wheelhouse with the darker stuff, the dark comedy, closer to Roseanne and Married with Children type of stuff where it's, people struggling rather than that rich family doing well. And, I mean, they take a very serious topic. They play it for laughs, but don't make it into a joke, which is tough to do, but well done. Yeah, I don't have anything super deep to say. I've watched a good amount of this show, but I never watched it all the way through. I'm probably going to go back and finish this up now in order. So, green light for me.
Joe.
Yeah, this is a green light. I love the balance they use in this show. And we mentioned it earlier. I think the idea of having French Stewart, who's the classic like wacky neighbor or wacky best friend, who can sometimes be a little overbearing, but they use him so sparingly that he's always funny. And they can use him right after a really dark scene to kind of bring the mood up a little bit. I think the cast for this is super well put together. Everybody in it is really good. I can't believe it went this many seasons and I had never even seen a second of it. But this is maybe the hard... usually I'll say like, oh, it was hard to not watch the second one. This was I'm just going to let this keep playing. And I just really wanted to watch it that badly. I think that cliffhanger ending was a big part of that as well. So this is a huge green light, and I'm like 10 episodes in, and this will probably be something we binge watch through the next month or so.
Yeah, I mean, you have plenty of episodes. Again, it was like, I was so surprised to see how long of a run it had.
We've talked about it before when you see a show and you're like, oh, this is great, I want to watch it. And they're like, it was canceled after the first season. And you're like, oh, it's going to be such a bummer to like burn through it and then be like, oh, it didn't resolve or it wasn't very long.
It's like, oh, I have 8 episodes.
Real quick before yours, Jay, did this get a conclusion or was it abruptly canceled after the 8th season?
I heard it was canceled, but I don't know if it was abrupt or not. I know it ended because of cancellation, but I don't know if they were able to end it how they want or not. I didn't get to that when I was reading up on it. But yeah, as far as I go, yeah, this is weird because this was a show that I've seen bits and pieces. Like it's been background noise because it's like on a lot on television. So it's like been on at work in the back and stuff. And I've glanced at it and I didn't really think anything of it. And nothing ever really hooked me in. So I was kind of under the impression that I didn't like the show based on just seeing parts of it at times. But then when I actually sat down and watched this episode, I was like, oh, this is a pretty good show. And for all the reasons like described earlier, it just has that more classic sitcom vibe to it that I think really gets missed on a lot of the newer episodes where characters aren't realistic and it's too bright. And this felt a little more what we grew up watching. And they did a pretty good job balancing there was a lot of serious topics, but they did it in a way that didn't bum you out the whole episode, which is really tough to do. But yeah, I enjoyed it. So, I mean, without going on too much longer, I'm giving it the green light as well. Yeah, that's 4 out of 4 for us. So regardless of Nick's vote, it's still going to be a green light. So congratulations to Mom. You do live on to see episode 2 with us. I want to thank all of you guys for listening. Be sure to listen again next week when we have another new episode out. Again, S1E1pod.com has all the links to everywhere where you can listen. Follow us on social media. You get merchandise now on the link. So be sure to go over there, grab a t-shirt, give us a follow, rate, review, subscribe, do all that stuff. Joe, welcome back. And we will see you all again next week. So until then, thank you. Goodbye.
I think we got the best secondhand heat.